have come from far and wide, from down in Somerset. A couple of the old-timers here again, the 60-odd-year-olds, Steve Cook and Wacko Jacko, previous winners. A lot of newbies as well. Half of the field have made it to the final for the first time. Some of these guys are amateurs, some of the guys are professionals. We have guys that do it for a hobby, we have guys that do it professionally like him, and Marcus Billionaire, who has come from Germany. The first time ever we've had a European competitor in FishOMania. Well, it's all new, it evolves every year, but this is the biggest yet. We have a star-studded studio as well. We have the reigning champion Andy May with us, a previous winner in Neil McKinnon, and the face of fishing, old fish face himself, Keith Arthur.
Can't resist it, can you?
That guy, every year we use it. Biggest yet, this is, it's amazing, and you can see the expansion out there.
25 anglers. It's going to be a very, very difficult match to win, but a fantastic match to fish in.
Reigning champion, Andy May. You've got about another 5 hours of me saying that, I'm afraid, Andy. And you would love to have been out there again today.
Yeah.
How close did you get?
I had a second, a third and a fourth in 3 matches, Rob, so yeah, very close, but not close enough, unfortunately.
What does it mean to be the champion here? These are all dreaming of it.
Yeah, it's just been absolutely brilliant. What a year, past year it's been, and 5 hours what I've got left. Yeah, it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Neil McKinnon's with us as well. Neil, another previous champion. Put into context what it means to win FishOMania. You win 50 grand, which is fantastic, but it's the trophy, the prestige, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's the trophy. You ask any past winner, it's all about the trophy, and it's the pinnacle of the sport. You know, all those anglers out there today are going to be desperate to win that trophy.
This is how it's going to pan out between now and 5:30. In a couple of minutes' time, they will start fishing. The juniors have started fishing, as have the ladies. They're on an adjacent lake called the Suez Canal. The juniors started at 11 o'clock. They'll finish at 3. The ladies are also some great anglers out there. Wendy Lockie has actually been in the final. They started at 11:30. They will finish at 3:30, and we'll get the money to the winners of all of those competitions, and also the prizes around 5:20 this afternoon. This is the take-home. Of course, what they want is the trophy, but there's a pretty handy take-home as well. FishOMania champion takes home £50,000, runner-up £10,000, and the winner of the ladies and the juniors competitions £1,000 each.
Welcome to Cudmore Fishery for the 24th annual Vanarama FishOMania. Our anglers are ready to battle it out for a first prize of £50,000 and the title of Vanarama FishOMania champion. Let's get things started with the all-in.
And so on the far side of the lake, echoing around the arena, is Phil Seymour announcing to the anglers that we have started. And if you're watching for the first time, the way it works out, these guys catch fish, they stick them in the net, and every half an hour weigh the fish, and then come about 5:10 this afternoon, we see how many fish they've caught during the course of the afternoon. That's the idiot's guide. I'm the idiot. The expert is Keith Arthur. It's a bit more complex than that, isn't it, Keith?
In a nutshell, you've encapsulated it perfectly.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's what happens in between those half-hourly weigh-ins and the pressure you can put on somebody by catching a fish just before you weigh in. You know, you get that little extra edge, and everybody knows what's going on. They've got bank runners helping them, their own individual Batman, if you like, who's telling them what's going on around the rest of the lake, giving them little tips and wrinkles as to what they can do. We were lucky to blag Andy Main because he was already booked to help someone else, and I had to get on my hands and knees and grovel to get him to help us.
Well, you're going to hear a lot of talk about pegs this afternoon, and this is where the guys are spread. 25 anglers, of course, 25 positions, 25 peg positions. Normally, we'd say there's a favoured peg position. We'll bring Andy May in a minute, who's the local here and knows it like the back of his hand. But Keith Arthur, you're going to explain to us here how things have worked out. There we go. You can see Andy Jamie Hughes is there on 7. Steve Jackson, a former champion as well, on 8. It's a good spread, isn't it?
Yeah, the sort of favourites, if you like, have drawn apart. You know, you've got Jamie on 7 and Will more or less the other side of the lake opposite him. So it's going to be a real test of their characters. It's you know, Will Raisin is former world champion. He's been runner-up in FishOMania, so he knows the score. He's won the home international match here. You know, he knows exactly the score. You've got Dave Roberts, who's been here, he's very close to winning. He's fished the international here. Someone else who knows exactly what they're doing. Maybe not in the favoured area, but you never know. Fish have got fins, they swim around the lake.
The fact that the talent is spread around the area as well kind of helps the competition.
Oh, definitely.
They're not going to be concentrated in one particular area.
No. And there's going to be more pressure on them as well, because if you remember from last year, there were only 16 pegs in that area where there are now 25. So, for example, you've got Jamie Hughes, who's sitting here. You've got Will Raisin sitting here. and the wind is blowing exactly really where we want it to blow. The wind is blowing that kind of direction. So they're getting that little bit of ripple. They're on the edge of the ripple, and the ripple brings oxygenation. It diffuses the surface, so the fish can't see the anglers or the tackle quite as well. And it's going to make, wind can make a huge amount of difference.
Well, you're saying that is the favoured area, and you can see the crowds are just behind peg 7. Jamie Hughes, 6 consecutive FishOMania finals. That takes some doing. One of only 2 men to have ever won it twice, and he is the bookies' favourite. And this is, you can see why, because he's the first man to get a fish in the net.
He was extremely confident when he drew his peg as well. He said he'd like to draw peg 7 and then pulled it out. You can't do better than that. He can only, as he said, if he doesn't win, he can only blame himself. And that's one of the carp that he's caught there. They're fairly new fish in the lake. They've been put in to boost the weights for FishOMania, to put bigger fish in, and he's caught that one. It's an early fish.
Our camera's there down on peg 19, capturing Darlington's Keith Pentland, his first FishOMania final. A machine operator. He's also got fish in the bag. Now we have 5 reporters down there, spread around the 25 anglers. We're going to have our first shake around the lake. First of all, we're going to go down and look at pegs 1 to 5. Looking after those this afternoon for us is Rob Dorset.
Yes, thank you, Rob. What a glorious scene it is down here by the lake. Perfect conditions for fishing, perfect conditions for watching fishing as well. And the spectators are beginning to mass in now. Lots of noise behind the background of all of these anglers. Let me introduce you first to peg 1, Lee Bennett. Now, he epitomises all that FishOMania is all about, really. 6 years he's tried to qualify, has managed to do it for the first time this year. And maybe there's an omen here. His bank runner is his brother, Andy, who was actually bank runner to Andy May when he won it last year. So is there an omen there? Peg 2, Andy Power, a man who needs no introduction really to people who know their angling. 5th time he's been here. He knows this lake, he knows this competition. He's never finished higher than 3rd, though. He is in exactly the same peg he was this time last year. So he knows that well, and he's more optimistic about how that peg might fish today. Now listen, peg 3, have a look at this one, look. I want to show you this little dragon. There is the Welsh dragon. We've got a lot of supporters behind him as well. Bob Giles has bought 2 coach loads. There's another coach on the way apparently as well. Now, Bob will have the noisiest supporters throughout, I think, for the entire day. First time he's been here. Peg 4, Andy Adams. Again, another debutant. First time he's been here, but he's practiced here all week long. He's quite pleased with his draw. He tells me he's desperate for it to cloud over a little bit, try and push the fish a little bit deeper in the lake. He may have got his wish. And finally, peg 5, Jason Collins, 2nd year on the trot that he's qualified for the FishOMania final. He was in contention right up until the last couple of weigh-ins last year. Finished 4th in the end, but he fancies his chances too on a favourable peg, peg 5. So lots of optimism on pegs 1 to 5. What about pegs 6 to 10? Ben Ransom can tell us.
Yes, Rob, you can imagine there's plenty of optimism over here as well, because this area of the lake, as you rightly point out, is the one that all of the anglers wanted to draw. So I'll start on peg number 6, shall we? Just have a look here. Chris Weeder is in there from St Helens. This is his first FishOMania final, so very, very excited. He's brought his family along as well. They've been fairly noisy. Caught an early tiddler, nothing too big to trouble the weights just yet, but a man who already has started, the favourite, the man who a lot of the pre-match talk has been about is this man here, Jamie Hughes, and already he's pulled in a carp around 3 pounds we saw, so a very, very confident start. Peg number 7, and it's worth pointing out as well, 2-time winner, and when he last won it, he was positioned about 20 metres to his right, so he's in the right part of the lake, part of the lake where he feels very, very comfortable. He's very confident, and as we heard from him earlier on, if he doesn't win today, by his own admission, it will be his own fault. But a very confident start, as you'd imagine, from someone so experienced, 2-time winner, 6 times consecutively in the FishOMania final. And here's another man with plenty more experience as well, Steve Jackson, a bit of a character too. He won FishOMania all the way back in 2001. He was also, you might remember, involved in a nail-biting finish on his debut in 1999. The first time he qualified was when he just missed out on the title right at the death. But 2001 was when he managed to win it. It says it could be his last FishOMania, coming up for 62 years of age. We'll see, maybe if he wins, that might all change. But anyway, Steve Jackson, really pleased to qualify again. Very, very happy with his peg draw as well. So if you follow me down and along to the man who caught the first fish in this part of the lake, Paul Blinkhorn. from Warrington. So there's a bit of a theme actually along here. The anglers, a lot of them, 4 out of the 5 I've got to talk about today, all from the northwest of England. So they all know each other very well, which is nice. I think we'll get a fair bit of banter, for want of a better phrase, up and down the bank. But anyway, Paul Blinkhorn, very, very pleased to be here, very delighted to qualify. Made the semi-final last year, didn't quite make it through to the final, so he was really chuffed to make it all the way. He's got peg number 9, and just to round off this part of the lake, peg number 10, Stephen Omishaw, a man who we feel that again has got a big chance. He's in a good part of the lake. You can see he's very confident to start, knows the guys along this part of the world very, very well. So yeah, I spoke to him a little bit earlier on. He was also feeling really confident. So pegs 6 to 10, lots of confidence here as well. Let's throw, shall we, just along that way, and we'll chat to Jenna Brooks.
Thanks, Ben. Well, welcome to Peg 11, where I have a very happy Adam Richards. He's fishing in his 3rd FishOMania final, and he told me that if he could have chosen any position around this lake today, he would have chosen this position. So one very happy angler at Peg 11. Let's move on to Peg 12, where Jason Redgrave will be hoping to win his very first FishOMania title from. Now, I did hear a big cheer just moments ago, so he has got a fish. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. But Jason told me that just to be here today is a dream come true. Now, Tony Curd is on peg 13, and Tony isn't as happy with his position as Adam is, and he told me he would have preferred the lower pegs. But when I asked Tony who his favourite was to win FishOMania 2017, you won't believe what he said. He said Tony Curd. So he might not be happy with his position, but he certainly is confident. Now, on to Ross Harold, who is on peg 14. Now, you might remember Ross from last year's final. He spent the majority of the day in the lead. He came in 3rd position, so he's hoping to go 2 better here today in FishOMania 24. And last but certainly not least, if you follow me up and down the hill on peg 15, is probably my most experienced angler. Steve Cook is fishing in his 8th FishOMania final. He won it back in 1999. You're going to also know his bank runner, Jeff Ringer. He's also won a FishOMania title, as has Jeff's son, Steve. So plenty of experience right here on peg 15.
Bob Giles getting his first catch of the day down there on peg 3, the Welsh Dragon. Let's go down and meet the rest of our anglers on the last 10 pegs. First of all, we're going to go down to peg 16, where we'll see Tim Thornton.
Yeah, peg 16, where Steve Hamilton has made a good start. He's got a big fan club with him, I have to say, today. A lot of family. There you go, a big roar. And he's made a very, very good start indeed. If it goes well today, well, it could be a deposit on a house for him and his fiancée. So he's on peg 16. Let's walk you around to peg 17. Will Raisin, who's one of the favourites here today, all the way from Aldershot. He's got Callum alongside him, who's a fellow member of the England squad. Away from fishing, he likes nothing better than a bit of Crown Green bowls and snooker. And he's got a big smile on his face at the moment. Let's walk you a little bit further along the bank to Ben Sharp. He's here with his girlfriend today. She is very, very excited. He's promised her a house if he wins today as well. Fishing is his life. He lives and breathes fishing. So they could be talking about fishing a whole lot in that new house if it all goes well for him today. And as we wander a little bit further around from the northeast, Keith Pentland, who's already got a big fish in his net. He's here with his son Chris today, and what they do between them, they share the prize money throughout the course of the year. So a big incentive for Chris as well, for his dad to win today, because they'll be sharing the cash. And if they do win tomorrow morning, they're going to be up bright and early to go fishing, regardless of whether they win or not. And just a little bit further around is Dave Roberts, peg 20. Robbo is his nickname, predictably. It's his 3rd time here. He says he's in the form of his life, and as far as he's concerned, it's about enjoying the day today. He's just going to enjoy the occasion. So he's looking forward to it. He said he'd be watching a little bit of Test match cricket if he wasn't here today. He's a big Liverpool fan as well. So that's 16 to 20. Let's take you around to peg 21 and join my colleague Jane Dougal. Jane.
Welcome to this area of the lake where this morning the anglers have been telling me they're not happy with the direction of the wind here, but we crack on regardless. And on peg 21 is Lee Kerry from Norfolk, an England international. This is his second FishOMania. His first one was 10 years ago. Let's hope the third one isn't 10 years into the future. If you just look to the right of Lee, you can see that the reeds have been cut back very neatly there. And that's because he got his bank runner Frankie to get out his secateurs this morning to cut it back so he had a bit more space on his right hand side. He's quite fussy, our Lee, but then he can afford to be. Moving on to peg number 22, and for the first time ever, as we've mentioned, FishOMania have opened up one spot for a competitor outside of the UK, and that was won by Marcus Billen from Cologne in Germany. He and his bank runner, Mark Williams, travel all over Europe fishing in waters. Now, Mark Williams is from Sheffield in England, so he does have a little bit of experience there from England. It'll be interesting to see how Marcus does in English waters. We'll keep you updated with him later on today. No fish yet. We're just going to step over the long poles, which will move us on to peg number 23, where we have Steve Barraclough. This is his debut at FishOMania. He fished this particular peg in practice, and he said he did catch, so that could be a good omen, but as I've mentioned, the wind just isn't favouring the anglers here today. His bank runner is his best mate, Sam Morton. They say that they share absolutely everything together, including the winnings, but not their wives. Let's take you on to peg number 24, and again we just have to hurdle over the long poles to get there. Try not to disturb them, obviously. And on peg 24 we've got Colin Scott, possibly the most relaxed man here today at the lake. I was speaking to him earlier, very laid back, and possibly that's because to his right hand side is his bank runner, Dave Gimlett, who's a past winner of FishOMania, so of course he's got all of that experience helping him on his right hand side. Or maybe he's relaxed because Colin's a Manchester United fan, despite coming from Bolton, and he's seen the transfer news. That brings us on to our final peg, peg 25, and here we've got Richard Chapman, age 25, on peg 25, and you can see there we still haven't caught any fish in this area of the lake yet. Richard qualified at the first time of asking. This is his debut at FishOMania. He was in bed very early last night in preparation for today, but it won't be like that next weekend, because next weekend Richard is organising a rave in Milton Keynes. Yes, you heard me right. By day a fisherman, by night a party animal. And those are pegs 21 to 25.
Thank you, Jane. And thank you as well to Tim down there. That's all of our anglers. You met all 25 of them now, and this is the view from above, the aerial view of the Arena Lake. 25 anglers. It's kind of deceptive. It looks like they're very, very close together, but Keith, they've got plenty of fishing room, haven't they?
They're 14 metres apart. Each peg has got 14 metres. It's all measured. The whole lake was dug by laser, and although the bottom of the screen there looks considerably wider than the top of the screen across here, that is exactly the same distance. You can walk around the lake with a rod clipped up so you cast, and you'll just miss the island by 6 inches every time if you have it set up right. Really cleverly dug, and the depths are the same as well. And what we've got here, where you see there's no anglers actually fishing the match, so next to peg 1 and next to peg 25 here and here, inside this area here there are 2 blockers, there are 2 army anglers fishing there, and what they're doing, they're stopping, if you like, an advantage for the anglers in 1 and 25. They've not got empty water next to them. There is an angler fishing there, so they've got sort of competitors alongside them.
So that's that big area at the bottom. In previous years, that's where we've had the ladies and the juniors.
They're now on their own lake. Yeah. So just about, I suppose, here.
You can tell by the crowd, can't you? Because the crowd were assembled around Jamie Hughes, and on the other side, well, we've got Will Raisin, and
exactly.
With respect, nobody's interested in that blank bit of water. This is the peg draw for the ladies, and there's some talent down there. We have Wendy Locke, who actually competed in FishOMania a few years ago, and they've come from far and wide there. Kaylee Smith, who's a scientist by day, an angler whenever she gets any time. So those are the ladies who are going to be competing. Keith, remind me how they qualify and how the juniors qualify as well.
Their respective national championships. So the Angling Trust run national championships for ladies and for juniors, and for the top 5 or 6 in the junior case. The benefit is appearance at FishOMania and a chance to win some tackle money. Tackle vouchers, as we call it.
And they take it very seriously down there as well with the parents, don't they?
It's as important for them as it is for the competitors in the main final. The rewards aren't quite as great, but it's definitely, it'll be the highlight of a lot of their careers.
Well, it's a massive day for the ladies, for the juniors and the superstars of angling as well. We're just minutes away from the first weigh-in of the day. Now, most of the eyes this afternoon are going to be down there on Jamie Hughes. He has won FishOMania twice. He's the favourite. He's got a very good peg. We've seen him catching already as well. And let's see how he's doing exactly with Ben Ransom.
Yeah, it's already been a really exciting start for Jamie Hughes. Let's get straight to the weigh-in, shall we? You can see Mike here has got the scales set up and ready to go. We've seen around 5 fish, we think, already into that bag. A couple of fairly decent-sized carp as well. So we'll see as we tip them out as to exactly what we've got in there. So Jamie Hughes, very confident on this peg. The wind just came around to give him, yeah, there's a couple of really nice carp in there, you can see. So just getting the scales ready. Let's have a look then what that's going to read. Looks like it's going to settle. It's Mike just checking the calibration.
200.
There you go, 3 kilo 200. Good, really good early start then for the pre-match favourite as we see those fish go into the match bag, and Jamie Hughes starting really, really well. So let's move our way over to that side of the lake, shall we? Let's join Jenna Brooks and see who else has been catching early.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I'm at peg 15 with the former, if we can bring his fish over, the 1999 FishOMania champion, Steve Cook. He has, I've been told, he's been fishing shallow, and it seems to be working because he has caught at least 2 carp. His bank runner, Jeff Ringer, who's also a former FishOMania winner, has told me that he's thinking it's about 2 kilos that Steve has caught. Wow, they are quite big fish. I'm going to see what.
Thank you.
Cape Star. 2 kilos 725.
2.725 for Steve Cook. We're going to go over to Tim Thornton. I believe you have something for us.
Yeah, at peg 17 with World Race and the world champion here. Now, it was a slow start for him, but in the last few minutes, he's reeled quite a few in. So we're going to be weighing them. Callum, I think, is going to be bringing them over in just a second, the bank runner. But yeah, it's been a hive of activity here in the last couple of minutes. So in they go into the net. And let's see what we've got here.
850 grams.
850 grams, so a decent start for Will. Let's head back now to Rob Dorset. Rob.
Bob Giles, the Welsh wizard, has had a great little start. Ian, can we whip that, keep that out? He's got 2 decent carp in here. His supporters, who've come in the coach loads, have been cheering him. You've probably heard them all around the lake. And if we have a look in this net, listen, you can hear how excited they are. He's in again. He's in again. We'll get that next fish, obviously, on the next weigh-in. But look, 2 decent-sized carp are in there. Is it going to be enough to put him into the lead? An early lead, of course. We've got Mark from the Angling Trust who's doing the honours there. We'll try and see round at the scales. There it is. It's a big haul.
Okay, so peg 3, Bob Giles, 3 kilos 300 grams.
3 kilos 300 grams for Bob Giles. What a start for the Welshman. Probably enough to put him in the lead.
So it's like getting the first putt on a golfing green, or your first run in a cricket match, or the first goal in a football match as well. Getting those first fish in this afternoon, and Jamie Hughes, as expected, is off to a flyer. And it's interesting, the tactics. Some of the guys will go, I mean, putting into those simple parlance, some will go for the big fish, and there we see Will Raisin, who we've seen before in the internationals, go and he gets a cumulative total of smaller fish sometimes.
What Will did to start was fish the feeder across to the far bank, and that was a double-edged sword really, because what he was doing was hoping to catch a carp over there, but all the time he was priming his closer into him, which he's just started to fish. Now Bob Giles, who's already weighed in 3 kilo 300, has got a big fish on here. And his teammates, his runners and supporters were saying to me last night, when I could understand them, they've got very thick Welsh dialects, said to me, if they come shallow, Bob Giles will win it. He loves fishing shallow. He's a very, very good shallow angler. And there, you know, the carp are up there cruising.
Well, he's from a fishing family. He has a grandson, Parker, who's introduced to fishing as well. He's been by the waterside for 40 years. So he started when he was 9 years of age, and it's amazing, isn't it? They have the support of their teams, and they say he's brought 2 coach loads down to support him.
Yes, coarse fishing in Wales is quite restricted. There's not a great deal of coarse fishing there, but the stuff that is there is very good, but a lot of them travel across the border and fish those North West and West Midlands fisheries, which are serious fisheries. You really learn your stuff there. Cupmore's not too far from them, and Woodlands View and places like, Woodlands Fishery, they do a lot of stuff there. Moorlands Farm, they're regulars.
There's so many fisheries.
A lot of the Welsh guys fish my local circuit, very hard to beat. I know Bob, and Bob's a very positive angler. I think he qualified at Viaduct Fisheries. He had a huge weight. Yeah, and I think his style today, he's showing us what he's going to do. He's going to fish for carp. That'll be his tactics.
Perfect for it today, and with that wind blowing, and the weather's absolutely bang on for it. So, and it's the best way of fishing ever, shallow.
I mean, we've seen him catch 2. He's got another one in the net for the next weigh-in.
Yeah. I remember one of Andy May's comments a couple of years ago. So one thing you don't need in the summer is a plummet.
A what? Don't swear at me, Keith. No, it's just where the fish want to be. They want to be in that shallow water, and it's just when you get them there competing, I don't think there's any method that can touch it. I really don't.
This is Steve Cook, who, well, he's one of our veterans. I suppose when he's 61 years of age, he won't take offence at that. Steve has won it many years ago, and he's here every year. One of the great characters as well. We've had our first weigh-in. We've been around all 25 anglers, and this is how it's panning out so far. At the moment, the current, the bookie's favourite at the start of the day, Jamie Hughes, has won it twice before. He's in second place. Very close between him and Bob Giles at the top. Marcus Billen, our first European qualifier. They had a heat over in Holland. Marcus is representing Germany. He's in third place. Steve Cook, one of the veterans, in fourth place. And then we have a few of the newbies in there in the top half of the table as well. So very little between ninth place and first place at the moment. Well, those are the anglers whose nerves have settled a little bit. What is good to see is that, well, virtually everybody has got a fish in the bag so far. It's not won in the first half hour, but it helps, doesn't it?
Very interesting that Marcus Billen, we saw as the walkthrough was going on, we saw him playing a fish. That's his one fish. That nearly 6 pounds, 2 kilo, 825, is one carp.
Oh, there we go. Andy Power, Lee Kerry, Steve Barraclough, Colin Scott, nothing just yet. Andy and Neil, who were with us and fished in the finals, what does it mean if you don't catch anything in that first half hour? Do you just blank it out, hope for the best?
They'll keep trying. You know, every one of those anglers is a competent angler. They'll be confident in their methods, and they'll carry on.
Well, this is our current leader, Bob Giles. He might be extending his lead. We're kind of halfway through our second half an hour.
What's interesting, he's next to Andy Power, who's been here twice before. He's a top angler, loves fishing shallow, and he's yet to trouble the scorers, and here's Bob Giles netting probably his 5th fish.
Yeah, Bob's already got, well, he's got that fish, he's already got one in the net.
Yeah.
And I noticed there he's got a longer line, so he's caught his first few shallow on a short rig, but now he's got a longer line on, so he might have dobbed that one.
Yeah, the dobbing you're talking about, Neil, it's really interesting because when the lake's calm enough, if you're out the ripple, you can see some of the bigger carp here just cruising around, and they're not necessarily going into the feed, but if, like Andy, you drop a bait in front of them, they can't resist it. You know, you try them with a burger and it's gone. And it's exactly the same with the carp. You drop a pellet or a bit of meat or a lump of worm or anything, drop it in front of them, and they can't, it's almost a natural reaction. They can't help open their mouth and suck it in.
Especially the fish that are feeding the carp, they're the new ones that have gone in, and they're ravenous in the other lakes. So you know that they're feeding fish, you put it into them, they'll just take it straight away.
And it's an unusual style of fishing in the sense that the fish are swimming round sort of lethargic, and it's almost annoying them. You drop it in front of them and they snatch at it.
Yeah. Can't resist it.
We've been joined in the studio now by Julie Abbott, the Queen of the Lake, fishing royalty here. Thank you very much for joining us. You've been down there at the water's edge. What have you learned from what we've seen so far?
There's a few pegs, aren't there, that the anglers didn't want at the start. Perhaps that those aren't doing so well. But Jamie Hughes has been catching. Will Raisin's catching a few. Had a chat with him before, and he's quietly confident, I think. So Guy just behind us on 19 had a decent fish out, so a few fish being caught, which is a good start.
There's a buzz down there as well.
Yeah,
There's a great crowd here today as
There
well.
is, I mean, if you remember last year, it was raining rather a lot, and then we didn't have a big crowd, did we? But no, it's been brilliant so far, yes. Yeah.
It's a great atmosphere as well. There are lots of sideshows and whatever going on, but all of the eyes, of course, are on the main lake. I can hear this time in the background. The hoot has just gone off, which means that we've been angling here for an hour. Let's go down to the water's side for our next weigh-in. First of all, we're going to join our reporter, Jenna Brook.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I just heard you talk about the atmosphere, and there has been quite a little bit of cheering. And yeah, if we can grab the fish. We're back at Peg 15. Steve Cook, of course, the 1999 FishOMania champion. He's had a very strong half hour. I'm told again that he has caught another 2 big carp, weighing roughly around 2 kilos. His bank runner, Jeff, has told me. Just a reminder, Steve is in 4th position at the moment. So hopefully we can add to that total and move him up the leaderboard.
$2 kilos, 300.
2.3 kilos, so his bank runner was almost spot on. I believe Tim Thornton at Peg 17, you have something for us.
Yeah, and with Will Raisenor, we're going to be weighing what he's got in the net in just a moment. We're going to speak actually to Callum, his bank runner as well. He's just doing the honours. We've got Andre here ready as well. So here we go. They're just getting organised for us here. Currently in 14th. Callum, what have we got in there?
Just a few silverfish to date. He hasn't hooked a carp yet, but this part of the lake seems to be quite difficult for bigger fish, but there's always a chance of some fish in the edge lake.
Okay, 1 kilo 750. So there we go. Let's head over now to Rob Dorset. Rob.
Yeah, the leader, Peg 3. Ian, his bank runner, is just going to pull it out for us. Bob Giles has had a great start here on Peg 3. Bob Giles, the man from Wales, just north of Cardiff, with the most noisy fans that are here. He's got 2 big carp in here. Look at those. Bear in mind, he had 3.3 kilos in the first one. He's got a big old carp in there, a medium-sized carp, and one very small one. And we're going to have a chat to him in a minute. Our presenters are, but let's have a look at what this is at. Let's have a look at what this is at. Oh, it's more than last time. Let's let it settle. But remember, 3.3 kilos, the lead he had in his first half hour. It's more than that this time. They're a bit lively, you can see, but it's jumping around. What do we reckon, Mark?
Okay. Bob Giles has weighed 3 kilos, 500 grams.
More than last time. 3 kilos, 500. That's 6 kilos, 800 grams in an hour. What a start from Bob Giles.
Down on Peg 18 is one of our first timers in a FishOMania final. Ben Sharp, who works in the angling industry, is in the Melton Angling Shop. He is nicknamed Drawbag. Not sure why. I'm sure we'll find out during the course of the afternoon. But he's had a promising start. Right, let's go around the lake, over to Peg 1. Sales manager Lee Bennett, his first ever FishOMania. He's active down there in the corner. There are no corners on a circular lake, I know, but down there.
Yeah, Steve Jackson told me to go and stand on the point and look into the bay yesterday, so I don't know what he was talking about either. But noticeable, Lee Bennett there's fishing channel. I don't know if you see what he did there, Rob. You know that there's elastic going through the top sections of the poles, which is a shock absorber. Well, when you get a big fish, it can pull out so much elastic, it's very difficult to reach it with a landing net. So they now use things called puller kits, where you can actually pull the elastic back through your pole, like you would wind lining on a reel. You trap that elastic under your hand, shortens the elastic, but still some good shock absorption, and you can bring the fish within netting range.
There we go, game of patience.
Means you can fish much lighter elastic, which allows you to catch smaller fish. If you use heavy elastic, big fish, well, the small fish will drop off the hook, although that's good for big fish. This way, it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, he's taking a steady technique with his net. If you notice, he's got his landing net in the water, and what he's trying to do is coax the fish towards the net and scoop it a little bit quickly when it's slightly unaware. But every fish counts today, so.
No. It was just If that had been half a metre nearer, he'd have got that, but he just had to, the little shimmer of movement of the net, the fish felt it and it was off.
All the time in the world now, but come 6.5 minutes past 5 tonight, you've got to get that in there, haven't you, before 7 minutes, 7 minutes past. So you can afford to play the fish.
I don't know if you I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago on the international, Will Raisin, exactly where he is now, hooked a big carp. It was a proper carp, maybe 5 kilo fish, and he hooked it right near the end of the match. And I think that fish now still wonders what happened, because it was in the landing net almost before it swam. It was an incredible display. That's a serious carp for the context of the event.
That carp that Will caught was surrounded by mesh before it knew what to do. He's probably the best in the world at that style of netting.
And this is how it is panning out. The Welsh wizard, Bob Giles, with his fan club behind him, is top of the leaderboard so far. In second place, the veteran Steve Cook over there on peg 15. Steve, who was the champion back in 1999. In third place, on peg 11, is Adam Richards. A lot of money went on Adam Richards in the betting just before FishOMania started today. Take all of your calculations into hand, you would fancy Jamie Hughes, who's won FishOMania twice before. He's got a good peg as well, on peg 7, and a decent catch in the first hour of the tournament so far. Steve Jackson, another previous winner, is up there. Ross Harrell just behind him. This is the second part of the leaderboard. Will Raisin will be very disappointed with 10th place at the moment, and he wasn't looking too optimistic about the rest of the day either. And the third part of the leaderboard, you have to have a lot of sympathy for poor old Lee Carey down there on peg 21, not a tiddler so far. Well, we have good news. This is live. When we saw the leaderboard, he didn't have anything, but the good news is down there that he has got his first fish. Everybody has caught something this afternoon.
That's how we like it.
And like most anglers, Lee will have a plan. A part of his tactics will be to target bigger fish towards the end of the match. So he's not out of it yet. It's still very early days.
Well, one of the few on the feed as well. I think most people appear to be on the pole.
There we go, the race is on. Over an hour gone of FishOMania, but we go all the way until just gone 5 o'clock. We're building up a pitch, and it's very tight at the top of that leaderboard.
We're now at peg 14 with Ross Harrell. If we can bring the fish over now. Ross is currently in 5th place. Of course, he was leading for the majority of the final last year. He ended up coming in 3rd place. But look at those 2 massive carp. I've been told by his dad that he's thinking about 3 kilos. Let's see what it weighs in at.
2 kilos, 825.
2.825. There you go.
Let's go crew!
Can I have a Coke and a Fanta, please? George, can I see a quick, please? And a diet. Get your ice cold drink, with ice on them too.
That's a serious fish, that is. That's Jamie, I take it, is it?
That's Jamie. That's Jamie Hughes, yeah.
Goodness me.
This is peg 6, where Chris Weeder, former semi-professional footballer, now a very impressive angler, is playing a fish.
It's a decent carp as well. You notice a lot of anglers that fish normally without being in match fishing, they would use a much bigger landing net for a fish like that. But when you're match fishing, the great thing about those small nets is you net the fish and their mouth will be facing towards you. You can then unhook the fish very easily without even touching it. You saw there, he didn't touch the fish. Put a landing net inside the keep net, turn it inside out, and the fish is, from being taken out of the water, it's back in the water in 10 seconds, safely unhooked. There's a fish caught on a waggler. That's a little waggler on the line there.
Dave Roberts. One of the things I've noticed looking out over the lake, the wind's dropped considerably.
Yeah, and it's got sunnier.
Yeah, and which not naturally makes the fish come shallow.
This is Jamie Hughes again. As he said, he's 7th place. He had a total of 4.55.
How cold am I, right?
Right, we've done our sums behind the scenes. 25 anglers out there spread around the lake, and we have a new leader in Chris Weeder. 6.9 kilos, just ahead of Bob Giles, who got off to a fly. Another decent half an hour for Bob. He only got just over a kilo in the last half an hour. In 3rd place, Ross Harrell. Maybe he's going to turn his experience on its head, because Ross was doing well last year, and then he started to fall at the final hurdles. In the last half an hour, Steve Cook had quite half an hour. He's fallen down into 4th place. Adam Richards, we mentioned before. A lot of money's gone on Adam Richards on a fancied peg 11. Jason Redgrave. Jamie Hughes is there in peg 7, but don't be deceived. He's just caught a couple of fish, and he's going to move up that leaderboard when we have our next weigh-in. Certainly not out of it. There we have Marcus Billen, our German competitor from the first ever European qualifier for FishOMania. Tony Curd has a lot of interest on him as well. Will Raisin, who, well, our expert in the studio, Julie Abbott, says he's going to win. He's going to come from 12th place. We will hold you to that one. There's a very brave prediction. But as we see, as Keith said, absolutely anybody could win this. And at least everybody so far, every angler out there, has got something on the leaderboard after 3 weigh-ins.
Who are we seeing this?
That's Tony Curd, peg 13. Well, this is down on peg 2. This is Andy Power, who won the UK Angling Championship on 2 occasions. It's his 5th final at the age of 29. Well, early in the day, he was a fire-breathing Welsh dragon, Bob Giles, but every angler you know will have a sorry tale to tell of the ones that got away. Not just one has got away in the last half an hour, 4 fish have got away. He's caught 4, he's lost 4, and he's lost top position. He's currently in 2nd place, but we are due another weigh-in any second now. We're getting the gas in the hooter. That was either a hooter or a very loud duck in the background here at the Arena Lake. We think there has been movement down there somewhere between pegs 6 and 10, and our man on a mission down there is Ben Ransom.
Okay, so yeah, back on this side then. So we've had Chris Weeder, who was the leader last time around. Pretty difficult half an hour here. By contrast, 20 yards away, Jamie Hughes had a tough couple of half an hours himself. Well, he landed 2 really big carps in the last half an hour. So let's see what he's got. We'll get the match bag out now. Here we are. And you can probably see as soon as we tip these out, there are a couple of big ones in. Big round of applause when both these came out. 2 in 2 minutes. Look at the size of those as we stick those on the scales. Let's see what we've got. Look at that. And we're approaching towards 5 kilos there. Let's not forget last time it was just 425 grams. Jamie Hughes last weigh-in. Just waiting for these 2 because they're heavy. It just takes a little bit of time for them to settle. Look at that. 4 kilos, 500 grams. So that puts Jamie right back in the mix. All of his experience, and you can see why he was so happy to have peg number 7.
It looks like a serious fish as well. Those cruisers have just obviously moved up to his peg, and they'll go around, and it's a decision of theirs. That's a nice ghost carp. Whichever, that's a proper ghost carp.
Well, this is going back in time. We actually think that he's injured himself in landing this fish.
Oh no! What happened? I can tell you exactly what happened.
Okay.
He had a blocked drain at home. He put his arm down it to free it. Hooked out a load of gunk, tried to put his arm down a bit further, It got trapped, he pulled it out and dislocated his thumb. And he said he won't be able to fish longer than 2 or 3 sections of pole. He's obviously had to go longer to catch that fish, and he's now suffering the consequences.
And that's why he wasn't shaking hands with us last night when we met him in the... I thought he was just being rude.
No, dislocated thumb.
Right, this is it. This is where we stand. Bob Giles, the early leader, has dropped into 2nd place. Chris Weeder, who we were talking to him, it all gone very quiet for him. He's now in 3rd place, and Jamie Hughes with those 2 fish that were just cruising by, and he said he was lucky, but you make your own luck, don't you? It's class from Jamie Hughes. He caught the fish, he saw them, he landed them, he got them in, and he has gone to the top of the leaderboard with a total weight so far after 4 weigh-ins of just over 9 kilos. That's the top 9. We have 24 anglers here today. This is the middlers, who've got a few tiddlers. Steve Jackson's in there in 12th place. Marcus Billen, the German, in 13th place as well. But as we've seen, things can change very quickly here at the Arena Lake in Cudmore. It's been quiet over there on the high pegs for Richard Chapman, one of the newbies, Colin Scott and Lee Kerry as well. You can't discount them just yet, but the odds seem to be stacked against them. This is down to peg 1, just below us, his first ever FishOMania. And currently in 8th place is Lee Bennett, but he may be improving on that 8th place.
Yeah, there's a little feeder there, or bomb, I can't really see.
That's a quality fish.
A bit of action here down to peg 13, and Tony Curd. He's from Notting Hill in London. He's been in the final 3 times, a vastly experienced angler, despite his pretty young years. He's only 26 years of age. There's only one angler who's younger than him in the final this afternoon. And he's got some on the in the net there.
He's got that one in nowhere around, Jacko.
Yeah, he's not feeling the pain at the moment, is he?
I bet he is.
Any second now he will do, but he's got the adrenaline will be flowing through his body, won't it? Well, down to peg 14, where Ross Harold has had a pretty quiet day so far. Remember, Ross had a good start in 2016, and then sadly for him, faded towards the end, allowing Andy May to take the title. He finished in 3rd place eventually, but as we're at the halfway point of FishOMania, the tide may turn, quite literally. It's a never-shifting leaderboard here in FishOMania 24. I think we've had 4 or 5 different leaders so far. The last half an hour, Lee Bennett weighed in with just under 4 kilos. We believe it was a big fat 0 for Jamie Hughes, the 2 times champion of FishOMania, and Adam Richards had a decent catch of 1.85 kilos to take him into 3rd place. Big mover up the board was Steve Jackson with 4.225 kilos in the last half an hour. Beware of the injured fisherman and the veteran fisherman there, Steve Jackson. Chris Weeder, who was one of the early leaders, moved down into 9th place. Wasn't particularly good either for Steve Cook, just 1.5 kilos in the last half an hour. Those are the movers and shakers as we've just passed the halfway point in FishOMania. These are those who still have a chance. Just remind Julie Abbott, our expert in the studio, who has told us that Will Raisin is her favourite. Things will change into the second half of the tournament. But he's currently down in 15th place at the moment. I'm just checking what he got. He got a 0-0-0-0 in the last half an hour. All very, very quiet for him, but he's not alone. Half of the field caught nothing in the last half an hour as the fish are taking a tour of the Arena Lake here, and most of them stopping by to say hello to Steve Jackson with his injured hand. And those are the guys, just to let you know, just in case their relatives don't believe they're here. They are here, they're just not being very active at the moment. The likes of poor old Lee, Andy, Colin, Richard, Keith, Steve and Paul. And so, at the moment, in gold, silver and bronze, Lee Bennett, Jamie Hughes and Adam Richards.
We have just crowned our junior champion. It is Will McRainer, who you heard from earlier in the programme, proud dad and granddad alongside him here. It was an anxious wait. Will weighed in with over 25 kilos. And we got to Justin Steffsen, who is his nearest competitor, had 19 kilos in the end. You didn't think you had it, did you, as you were waiting for the result?
Everyone was telling me that he'd had about 100 fish, so I was really worried, but I just did it in the end, I think, so I'm over the moon.
You did.
How happy are you? You told us earlier what it meant to you. How happy do you feel now you've actually done it?
It's just insane. It's like, I've always wanted to do it. You see it on TV and it's just insane. I'm over the moon.
£1,000? What are you going to spend that on?
Yeah, I don't know. I
Fishing
took it
tackle
in
for
yet.
the world champs.
Yeah,
Fishing
probably.
tackle for the world champs.
Got the world champs in like 4 weeks, so can't wait for it.
I definitely think you win the competition for proudest family as well. Dad, Alan, who won the junior championship just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Unbelievable couple of weeks for you. How proud are you?
Yeah, he just goes from strength to strength all the time, and it's all his determination and the effort he puts in. And Grandad, what he does for him. And sorry, we need to mention Grandma Sally as well, because she'll be watching back at home. Yeah, the pair of them do splendid for him, and Will puts the time in, so it's all paying off. It's brilliant.
Grandad Paul, you've enjoyed your day. You look a bit teary there.
I'm all right now. I'm all right now. I'm going to get a few points down and celebrate. You know, it's hard watching him. You know, you want the kids. Everybody wants the kids to win. And I want Will to win like everybody else. But he's done it, so let's celebrate, eh?
I can see you physically shaking. I think you need a drink. You're not allowed because you're only 15. The youngest junior in the competition has won FishOMania 2017.
It's a three-man race at the moment. They now are going to be casting their maggots and whatever into the water, but they're going to be casting their eyes around the lake to see how other people are doing. Peg 1, Peg 7, Peg 11 are the hot pegs at the moment. And we are due another weigh-in, I would say in about 5, 4, 3, maybe 2, 1, any second now.
You're a wizard.
It's all about timing.
You join me on peg number 7, where Jamie Hughes has been having a pretty good time of it. He's got one on the pole just at the moment as well. So we're just going to see if he can bring this one in. He's been had an up and down day, I think it's fair to say. We've seen him have really, really good half an hours, and then also a couple of duff half an hours as well. Didn't manage to weigh anything in the last half an hour, which meant he just lost his place at the top of the leaderboard, but it's very, very tight. So this is a crucial fish potentially for Jamie Hughes as he just works the pole. Here comes the landing net now. He's been absolutely expert up until now of getting these fish in the net and out of the water really, really quickly. So absolutely masterful work from Jamie Hughes through the day. He really does seem to know this water, this peg. Let's not forget he has won this competition twice previously, most recently in 2015 from a spot not too far from where he's currently positioned here on peg number 7. So we're just almost holding our breath a little bit here, because this could be really, really important as far as the competition goes. Absolute picture of concentration here, Jamie Hughes. No doubt one of the leading anglers here this afternoon. So we just see more ripple. Just brings it, tries to turn the fish back into the landing net again. Here we go, we're going to have a go at it now. And look at that, straight in. The crowd sound their appreciation, and quite right too, as we'll just let him put this fish into the bag before we do the weigh-in. And we've seen a good few big fish, a big carp going into that bag. So as it stands, I expect him to go back into the lead of the competition. But let's have a look. This is where we'll find out the moment of truth. We've got fish coming out of the water. We've got Gary poised with the weigh net, and Mike on the scales as well. Here we go. Look, this is going to be a good old haul. In they go. Some decent sized fish in there. So it's on the scales now. Let's see what Jamie Hughes has got. Remember, he didn't weigh anything in the last half an hour, but this looks really good as it settles. Look at that. Looks like it's going to be over 5. Just settling down now, the scales. Just waiting for these fish to settle down, but it's going to be over 5, isn't it? 5 kilos, 425. That is absolutely massive for Jamie Hughes as he looks to try and win this FishOMania title for the 3rd time.
He broke the he broke the heart of Matt Hall when he became only the second two-time winner of FishOMania. Nobody has ever won it 3 times. I don't think anybody's ever been in more than 6 consecutive finals. He has. He's been in 6 consecutive finals. He's won 2 of those previous 5. At the moment, he's looking like the favourite to take home £50,000 and yet another trophy. He's like the cricketer that goes out there and he hits sixes, or the footballer that hits goals from the halfway line, or the golfer that hits 300 yards drives. He is exceptional. He is a fishing heavyweight, and every time we train a camera on him, he catches a fish for us. It may take a while.
And of course, I think he qualified from Lakeview, and he'd never fished there before. Never fished it, never seen it. Went and did his own thing, caught, and he's qualified again, which just tells you how good he is.
The only mitigating circumstances, Rob, is those fish are there. He's not attracted them into his swim. They've just swum in there. Now, they can easily swim somewhere else.
The man who is impressing us all, Action Man. Jamie Hughes, 5.425 kilos in the last half an hour, giving him a total during the course of the afternoon so far of 14.475 kilos. He is the runaway leader of FishOMania at the moment. He's a legend in this sport. He's won it twice before, and I very much doubt that anybody at this moment in time, apart from Julie Abbott, would bet against him.
I'm speechless.
Someone would say for the first time, but I wouldn't do that. I know you would have done you well. But Julie went for Will Raisin, who many people would. He's the former UK champion, European champion, full-time angler, but poor old Will's just not got the best of pegs, the best of positions this afternoon. And they've all of the talent in the world, but Will is down there in 17th position.
The thing is, Rob, he's not got the fish in front of him, because we've just seen Stephen Hamilton next to him had the second biggest weigh in that half hour.
But these guys certainly have fish in front of them, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's got a beautiful view of the lake and nothing else.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, if you look at those last 6 there, it's 19, 20 to 25, everyone in the line.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for those anglers, there's just not the volume of fish in that area.
This is the oldest competitor, Steve Jackson, who is competing with his painful right hand, a plumbing accident this week. Well, peg 14 is second place, Ross Harold, who had a decent catch in the last half an hour. He had over 2 kilos in his bag, and that took him up the leaderboard into second place above Lee Bennett and Steve Cook and Steve Jackson. But of course, he's some way behind, 4 kilos behind the current leader, Jamie Hughes, but he's doing his best to slow down that difference.
I keep saying how happy I was with the way he fished last year. I thought he was a real talent. I didn't know anything about him when he came here. I went and had a chat to him on the Friday night, and I thought, well, he's a bit confident. Then I watched him fish and realised why. He was confident with every justification. He's a damn fine angler.
Well, there is the man to catch. Twice a winner of FishOMania. He pays a lot of tax on his winnings, Jamie Hughes. Full-time angling coach. Knows exactly what he's doing, and he has streaked into the lead. The last weigh-in, he caught over 5 kilos of fish. He has a lead of over 4 kilos on the rest of the 24-man field who are trying to catch him up during the course of the afternoon. He has been constant, and these pictures are live down there on peg 7. And it's just constant, isn't it? He's never rushed. Things may be changed if it gets to just before 5 pounds, just past 7 minutes past 5, but it just does it so slowly.
Yeah, we just saw Dave Roberts down below us catch a big fish. That's at least as big. Yeah. But Neil and Julie noticed something there. We thought he was actually fishing short and feeding long. He wasn't. He was waiting for those fish to move into his swim. When he was bringing those 1 and 2 bits of feed out, he was holding the pole much shorter. He wasn't, although he had a bait in the water, he wasn't actually fishing with it. He was waiting until he saw a fish. Then he could chip out, drop it in front. Thank you very much.
Peg 8, Steve Jackson, oldest competitor. You may remember the story of Steve. He won it in 2001, 16 years ago. He was a regular, and he's not been in not here for the last decade, and he was so determined. He said he has now squared the circle. He's returned to FishOMania. He said he's not happy. He's not unhappy if he doesn't win today. He would rather somebody wins who's never won it before to experience that euphoria. That might not be the case because Jamie Hughes is at the top of the table, but he has shown it doesn't matter how old you are, class never goes.
No, it doesn't. As I said, there are techniques that if it was a race to catch £500, Jacko would probably not be one of the front runners. Certainly not with a busted thumb. But when it comes to wisdom, when it comes to experience, when it comes to waiting, Jacko's not bad at that.
No. Well, there we go, Steve Jackson, who had a good half an hour. He's moved up into third place. There is £1,000 for second, by the way. It's £50,000, sorry, £5,000 for second, of course. £50,000 for the winner. The £1,000 is for the ladies and also for the juniors, and that's on the Suez Canal. That's where Julie Collier has made her way to.
Yes, thank you very much. We're just in the last weigh-in for the ladies here. Kaylee Smith currently leading with a massive 36.33 kilos. I'm not even sure you weigh that much yourself. You've literally caught your fish in your body weight in fish. But we're just weighing in Sophie Hill here. First bag has weighed in at 7 kilos 125. So she pretty much needs about 27 kilos here to be in with a chance of winning. She takes the bag out of the water. All the ladies have performed really well here today. At 36.330 kilos to beat of Kaylee Smith, who's the youngest competitor amongst the ladies, just 26 years of age. Eight kilos, 875, which means Kaylee Smith is confirmed as the winner of FishOMania. Congratulations.
Thanks.
How does that feel? I know this is your third attempt at winning Fisho. How are you feeling?
I don't know, I just feel a bit weird really now. It's one that I've wanted to win for a while and finally it's third time lucky it's happened, yeah.
You were catching so many fish today, literally every sort of 10, 15, 20 seconds you were pulling a fish out.
Yeah, I come up for a practice last Friday and I caught a few fish shallow and I knew that to catch a big weight I'd have to catch him shallow, so that's all I've done all day from off, and luckily I had a quiet 40 minutes or so where I didn't catch many, but apart from that, caught steady all day. I think I've ended up with 97 F1s and a carp, so not bad, a good day's fishing, yeah.
You've been national champion twice.
Yeah.
You're part of the England ladies team. You've now won FishOMania. It's quite a CV, isn't it?
Yeah, it's building up. Next one's qualifying for main men's event. That's what I want to try and achieve in future, so.
Oh, I hope you do. It'd be fantastic to see you up there. Do the ladies have to jump in or not?
I don't know, yeah.
I think the resounding yes from the crowd, so I'll let you go for it.
Back to the main event and the main arena. At the moment, you may remember, if you've just rejoined us, that Jamie Hughes from the Wirral is leading. In the last weigh-in, 7 of 10 weigh-ins, Jamie got 6.27 kilos, gives him a total during the course of the afternoon of just under 21 kilos. It's a long way for Ross Harrell to catch him up, but he had a decent weigh-in last time, 3.425 kilos, total of 13.825, and I got my summers wrong. It's £10,000 for the second place. It's no longer winner takes all as it used to be. There's a lot of money in FishOMania to be won this afternoon, so it's still a contest. Even if Jamie goes on and wins it, there's still quite a close contest, as you can see, for second place, all the way from from Lee Bennett to Ross Harrell. Anybody else could be a £10,000 richer, but they're not going to get that shiny trophy that everybody so desires. Well, I think for these guys, it's just been an afternoon in the sunshine, getting a nice suntan, enjoying the crowds and the glamour that goes with being in the FishOMania final on live television in front of thousands of envious anglers around the country. And just finally, the also-rans who did so much to get to the final. Remember, been over 4,000 competitors trying to get the golden ticket, as we've had the heats, 24 heats in the UK, 1 heat in Holland, which was won by the German competitor who has made it here today. It's the first time another one of the innovations But at the moment, it's a familiar face at the top of the leaderboard. It could be a familiar face on the podium come 5:20 this afternoon. Jamie Hughes is the man they all have to catch. But Steve Jackson continues to plug away, and he's hoping to improve on second to third, or third to second place.
Jamie said the fish were moving from his left into his swim, and of course Steve Jackson's on his left, so where the shoal is centred, it's almost like they're going in that little circle around between those two pegs.
Which way is the circle going, Keith?
Clockwise.
Clockwise.
Yeah, must be.
I'm not so sure.
No, it's going that way. They're going from left to right. Look, and then underneath his pole, he said something were coming close in, didn't he? See?
Well, the way it works, we add up all of the fish that they've caught during the course of the afternoon. We have a weigh-in every half an hour, due weigh-in number 8 of 10, and that's heading up to us after a break. Well, these are the 4 leaders as we head into, roughly into the last hour of FishOMania. It all finishes at 7 minutes past, well, roughly 7 minutes past 5, as we have our final weigh-in. There's some catching to do for Chris Weeder. He's currently in 4th place, 11.125 kilos, just behind Steve Jackson, who we know has a number of fish in his bag. He's got 12.075 kilos. He's in 3rd place. Ross Harold has been the naily man. He's one of those guys that would have silver and bronze medals if it was the Olympics, but he's so desperate to get the gold. He's in that favourite to win the £10,000 for 2nd place with 13.825 kilos, a decent last half an hour weigh-in of 3.42 kilos. But the man they've all got to catch could be setting a precedent. Jamie Hughes, one of only 2 anglers to win the coveted title on 2 occasions. He and Matt Hall, poor old Matt will be at home watching this, or wherever he is in the world today, looking and thinking, oh dear, no, he's done it again. Jamie Hughes is the favourite at the moment with 20.75 kilos, a wonderful last catch of 6.275 kilos. He is almost 7 kilos ahead of the 2nd place Ross Harold as we head towards the 8th weigh-in.
Well, Jamie's here, peg 7, and the sort of epicentre of fish that he was talking about tend to be in that area there. Now, Neil just pointed out something to me, where Jamie said they were coming from the left, and I said, well, obviously they're going clockwise, they're going under his pole. We just saw one go under his pole then, but Neil came up with a much better idea. These fish came from the Suez Canal lake, which we've just seen is a much smaller lake. And when fish are newly stocked into a lake, they don't realise the lake is bigger than where they've always been. So what they do, they stay for some time. Some of these fish have only been in a week, so they stay within the confines of their previous home. So what's probably happening is they're going through Jamie's peg and he's catching them, and then they're coming back, they're going in a clockwise motion, anti-clockwise motion, rather. They're going round here to the island, because they're used to going up against an island when they've been in Suez, and then they're coming back round that way from his left, and he's mugging them off as they come past him. And that's one little pocket of fish. And it looks like there's another little pocket of fish, maybe up where Ross Harold is, up around this area. There's another little pocket up here. But what we don't know, just around here like that. Now, what we don't know is whether they're just staying on one peg, whether it's a smaller group of fish, whether they're the resident fish, because not all the carp were taken out, they were carping all the time. We just don't know, but I would be prepared to bet that Neil's 100% right there, that those fish are the newest fish into the lake. They've come down from Suez and they're swimming in an 11-metre circle or a 12-metre circle, the width of Suez, rather than realising, hang on a minute, my world is a bit bigger than this.
That's hooter number 8 behind us, which means that we are now into the final hour of FishOMania. It is the cumulative total of all of the fish caught during the course of the whole 5 hours here on this Saturday afternoon in the Staffordshire countryside. We have had, about to weigh in the fish for the 8th of 10 times this afternoon. If you just dipped into our programme, then come about 10 past 5 this afternoon, one angler will get the £50,000 and coveted FishOMania trophy. It is weighed heavily in the favour of Jamie Hughes, who's won it on 2 previous occasions and has actually made the final 6 years in a row. Steve Jackson and Ross Harold are currently in 2nd and 3rd place, and my amateur mathematics tell me I think between 9th place and 2nd place it could be quite close for that. It could all come down to the last hour. I think we could get down to the water side and we can join one of our reporters. Let's go down to Ben Ransom.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so we've just moved down then to peg number 7. This is where the leader, Jamie Hughes, has been, as we've been explaining in the studio, giving us an absolute masterclass. It's been real consistency all the way through. Let's not forget, though, he did have that one half an hour when he managed a donut. No fish whatsoever. But here we go. He's landed a couple in the last half an hour, and the crowd are excited for this one because we're going to see just one big one in there this time. But remember, he is leading. He does have a substantial lead as well, so
2 kilo, 525.
That's a very handy 2.525 kilos added on to Jamie Hughes as he takes another step towards what would be an historic 3rd FishOMania title.
Well, in the last half an hour for weigh-in number 8, I can tell you that 16 of the 25 anglers caught nothing at all. Jamie Hughes caught 2.5 kilos, which was the 2nd best catch in that particular half an hour. But the best catch went to Steve Jackson, who caught 4.625 kilos, which takes him from 3rd place into 2nd place above Ross Harold. Now, the £50,000 is the first prize. You wouldn't bet against Jamie Hughes taking that home. That's probably a given at the moment. But it's looking very close between Steve Jackson and Ross Harold to take home the £10,000 second prize. Poor old Ross was in this position last year. I think he finished 3rd. He didn't take home any money. So he'll be determined to right that wrong. Steve Jackson, former champion, was a regular in FishOMania, and then he's had an age out of it. And he said he wasn't that worried about not winning today. He actually hopes he comes 2nd and somebody else would have the experience of taking the title. Well, his premonition was right. He may well come 2nd, but it's a familiar face that's going to be on the trophy, a familiar engraving of the trophy. Steve Cook, another oldie down there in 4th place. And then we go into the poor old anglers, the majority of them who've caught nothing in the last half an hour. There's nothing for Andy Powell. There's nothing for the 11th down to 15th place. None of those anglers caught nothing. And then as we see the bottom 7, none of the bottom 7 anglers, not one of the anglers here, caught a fish in the last half an hour.
You've got a feel for the anglers, you know, the last in a line, 6 or 7 anglers along this bank. It's plainly obvious there's just not the number of fish there.
Well, I've seen cruisers there all day. They've just not fed down there. Now, we expected there to, you know, there's normally a shortage of the bread and butter fish, if you like, in that area. But, I mean, I can't see down there at the moment. But if every time I've looked down there, there's been a swirl here, a bow wave there. Maybe there's not the same volume, but the fish have been there, they just haven't fed. I mean, Will has been slapping and doing his thing for an hour and a half down there, and he's not had a fish.
Yeah, I think from an angler's experience point of view, where there's definitely fish there, but I just don't think there's enough. And where there are only a few, there's the odd one milling about, and every now and again it'll snatch at a bait. But because whereas where Jamie is, there's some close to the surface, there's some just under the surface that you can't see. There's more there, and naturally those fish will naturally peck at a bait through instinct more than where there's just 1 or 2 milling around. And that's fishing, I'm afraid.
Steve, you've had a brilliant afternoon, and you've been fishing with your carpool tunnels as well.
Do you know what? I am so excited. I've got 3 grandchildren at home more excited than me. They're phoning every 10 minutes.
Are they really?
Oh, they're loving it.
And you know, a lot of people forget that, Steve. You look at people working really hard to catch a fish, concentrating, that they might look miserable. We saw some of the anglers at early doors putting bait on, and they could barely hold the bait still enough to put a hook in it.
Yeah.
And these are people that have fished virtually all their lives. They've fished big pressure, big money matches, national championships, in some cases even world events. And it's not nerves necessarily, it is excitement, isn't it?
It is excitement, yeah. And to be honest, I've just had a phone call, well, my wife's had a phone call from my sister-in-law. She said it's the most hilarious thing she's ever listened to. So you're obviously on form, Keith.
Oh, well done. Are you going to say hello to the grill? Look at that. Come on, round of applause at home. Is it Daisy, Phoenix and Jackson? Have I got the names right?
That's correct, yeah.
Say hello to them.
Yeah, well, I phoned them this morning and I said, I hope I have a good day. And they brought me, look, I've got my favourite Lucky Best Grandad socks on.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, look at the island now, look straight in front of you, say hello to them now.
Give them a wave. Blow them a
That's
kiss.
it, well
Hiya,
done.
kids.
Well done, Grandad.
Thank you.
Not many people take that as a compliment, but well done, Grandad. Steve Jackson, brilliant. Second place, and that fish could mean that he's harbouring second position. Jamie Hughes, runaway leader at the moment. The final weigh-in will be at just gone 5 o'clock. We are heading towards weigh-in number 9, but surely Jamie Hughes from the Wirral cannot be caught. Well, we're now into the final straight in FishOMania, the final half an hour for the final weigh-in. And it's down to 3 anglers for who could be in the money this afternoon. It looks like we have a runaway leader in Jamie Hughes, but it's very tight for second and third place between Steve Jackson and Ross Harold. And we've just, as we were in the break there, we had the hooter, which signified that we are due a weigh-in. So let's go down and find out the weights from Jenna Brooks.
Thanks very much, Rob. That's right, there is absolutely nothing in second and third place. Ross Harold on peg 14 is currently in third place, and we're going to bring the fish in. I believe he's caught at least 2 carp. His dad, Dave, is telling me around 2.5 kilos, so hopefully this can put Ross back into second place. His dad was telling me how disheartening it is hearing the cheers coming over from that side of the lake, where, of course, Jamie and Steve are, but we're going to see what... Ooh.
3 kilos, 350.
3 kilos, 350 grams, a brilliant half hour. Rob, what have you got for us?
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll find out exactly what we've got because Steve Jackson's about to weigh in now. So a big score put on the board there. The challenge laid down for the man who's currently in second place. But as you correctly say, Jenna, not a lot in it at all. So exciting times. Oh, there's a couple of fairly good ones there. It's going to be a couple, so not quite as many as Ross.
2 kilo 150.
2 kilo 150 there for Steve Jackson, who's got half an hour left then to try and bring a few more fish into that catch bag. So let's see then what the leader has done in the last half an hour, because Jamie Hughes, as we've seen throughout the day, bar 1 half hour, we'll call it a rogue, has been pretty relentless, hasn't he? So we'll get him to weigh in a moment as he just looks to try and secure another one. In fact, if you can see him now, he's got another one on the line. So he's having an absolutely brilliant day. And this could well be the fish that clinches FishOMania 24. As Jamie Hughes just looks to bring that in. This is that technique we've seen all day with the line and the net. Normally so quick at just whipping the fish out of the water. Just a bit more patient with this one, has to be said, as he just takes his time, because I mean, he's in such a commanding lead of the competition that really doesn't want to be making any mistakes now. He just needs to see himself over the line as he just brings the fish back towards him to try and lift it up and out of the water. Jamie Hughes has been magnificent, more than 20 kilos in the bag already, and that's before we get to this weigh-in. So here we go, and there it is in the net. Fantastically done by Jamie Hughes. The applause from the crowd, quite rightly too, as well, because he's having an absolutely fantastic day. Remember, he's on the verge of history. No one has ever won this competition 3 times. Well, 2-time winner Jamie Hughes is on the verge of doing just that. Let's wander around then and join Gary and Mike at the scales and see what he's caught in the last half an hour. We'll see that go. Oh, and look, there's a nice big one in there as well. Is this as good as the FishOMania title? Let's see.
2 kilo 875.
2 kilo 875, a really healthy amount there for Jamie Hughes, who continues to run away with this. Let's join Rob Dorset and see what he's got.
There's always somebody that comes up on the rails. Today it's Andy Power, peg 2. He's actually got another carp on now that he's playing very, very carefully. We reckon he's got 6, 7 good carp in the bag. John, let's whip that net out, mate, if we can. Or can we do that while he's playing one? In fact, bear with us because he's going to land this one first. There he is. Look, he's on a rush now. Andy Power is on the charge. Now, we know that Ross Harold and Steve Jackson are ahead of him in that race for second place, but look at that for a bulging net. Look at that. There's some really big carp in there. We reckon there's about 7 or 8 fish in there. This could be the biggest net of the day. Mark, let's get it on the scales and have a look. If it is, don't bank him out of a race for that second place and the potential £10,000 prize. He's 9th at the minute, Andy Power. If he can get, what have we got, 8? This is going to put him right back in the mix.
8 kilos, 425 grams.
8 kilograms, 425 grams. That's a huge, the biggest net of anybody today on peg 2 for Andy Power. He's back in that race for second and that £10,000 prize.
We're seeing a real battle for second place now. We're seeing Ross Harold with the fish on. And I think it's become a 3-horse race for second place, really.
What time exactly is carp o'clock again?
4.
The last hour of the match.
Yeah, the last hour.
Happy hour.
Yeah, and the later that match goes, it's still the last hour. The last hour is always the best. Jamie's caught one.
Unrelenting Jamie Hughes.
Yeah. It's so frustrating that you think, I've got him, that's a smaller fish. Yeah, I've got him, and then suddenly he just comes straight back at you.
We are approaching the final whistle or the final hooter and the final wane. Well, he has a very clear lead at the moment, Jamie Hughes, a lead of almost 7 kilos. But of course, in the last half an hour, Andy Power caught 8 kilos. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. But the fight is the money position. Second place, the £10,000 between Ross Harold, Steve Jackson and Andy Power. Between second and third place, there's less than a kilo. So they are fishing like mad out there on those pegs 14, 8 and 2. Jamie Hughes hasn't declared. He clearly doesn't believe that he's won. He wants to get a couple more in the bag just to put it beyond them. This is just confirmation of the other positions. It was a very quiet half an hour. It was about 9 anglers caught nothing of the 24, the 25 should I say, in the last half an hour. They've done the hard work. They've got here. There's £60,000 worth of prize money, £50,000 for the winner, £10,000 for second place. So this is where the nerves are jangling.
I think he's got one on now.
He can relax. For those other 3 anglers, there's 10,000. That's footballers' wages, £10,000 a day, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Andy's got a fish on. Andy's got a fish on now. And the way he shipped that back, he's in. Oh, it's a small fish. Catching mode.
It's a small fish, but he's, what, 4.4 behind Steve Jackson.
Do you know, although people talk about winning it twice, winning it 3 times, somebody that gets to the final more than once has done brilliantly. Jamie's been there 6 times on the trot. It's Jacko's 6th final, Steve Cook's 8th final, Andy Power's 3rd final in 4 years. You know, it's incredible, and it's open to everyone over 16. There's no qualifications, male, female. As long as you're over 16, anything else you like, you can enter.
There's that great quote before from the family as well that says he actually takes a couple of days off from fishing to spend time with the family. But you turn that on its head, and a lot of the other anglers have got full-time jobs, they're working class heroes, and then any spare moment they can get away from the family, they will go fishing. So anybody can can make it to the final of FishOMania. There's some great stories out there how the anglers have got here today at the Arena Lake in Cudmore, in Staffordshire, in front of the TV cameras and this watching crowd. There are hundreds, well, maybe a couple of thousand here today, and we know that we have the angling folk watching at home, families and friends and associates and workmates. To be very proud on the Wirral in Higher Bebington of Jamie Hughes has done it again.
Yeah, I think we're seeing Jamie Hughes become the Lionel Messi of fishing today. This is history in the making. 3 on the trot, or three times FishOMania champion. Is definitely some accomplishment.
One of my very good friends runs Sports Personality of the Year. This might put him in contention if all you anglers get together again and have a vote.
We'll have a conversation about that in a minute. Yeah. It's happened before. An angler actually got more votes than anybody else and was disqualified.
I'm seeing the man behind that tomorrow. Don't worry, we can square that one up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That sound is liftoff, and that sound is the sound of a legend being created. No angler has ever won FishOMania 3 times until Jamie Hughes, year 2017. He's blushing, he's trying to hide his excitement, but this man is an absolute angling legend. It's a phrase which is used so often in football, but he fully deserves it. He knows what's happening next. Get rid of all of the wires, any electricity, glasses off, because big boy, you're going for a swim.
Peg 2, Andy Power, 5th time at FishOMania, never been above 3rd place. Has he made a really late run to get 2nd spot and £10,000? This is where the excitement is. He's got 3 fish in the bag, 2 of them a decent-sized carp. Just to put it into perspective, before John whips that net out, a kilo would put him 2nd as we get to the other guys. So we're looking for at least a kilo in this net. John, let's bring it out. Couple of decent carp. I think there could be, well, there's certainly more than a kilo. Surely he's 2nd place as things stand before we get to Ross Harold and Steve Jackson and see what they've got. One's escaping. All the tension. A couple of nice mirror carp in there. Right, let's see what we've got here. Andy Power can't bear to watch. Let's hear from the horse's mouth from Mark from the Angling Trust, and it chooses this moment for the scales to blow up.
The scales have actually turned themselves off.
The scales have turned themselves off?
Fish back in the net, please, and I'll re-zero.
OK, bear with us. We'll go elsewhere just to add to the tension. Just to add to the tension, we're putting the fish back in the water so that they're OK. We'll do this weigh-in in a moment. Let's go across to Ben Ransom now, who's with Steve Jackson.
Yeah, it is really tense, isn't it? Well, let's hope the scales on this side of the lake work a little bit better, because let's not forget that Steve Jackson's currently in 3rd place. He needs at least 475 grams to take himself into 2nd place and get ahead of Ross Harold. Of course, we'll wait and see what Andy Power's got. So let's see what the final weigh-in is for Steve Jackson. And we also should pay credit to this man who's been fishing with a dislocated thumb for the entire day. So he's got 1 fish in there in that final half an hour. It's more than a kilo. 1.2 kilos. So he moves up over 19 kilos. In fact, he's moved on to 20.050 kilos, which puts him into 2nd place just at the moment. So he's got to finish ahead of Ross Harold. But first, let's find out if he's ahead of Andy Power. Let's move back to Rod Dorset, where hopefully, Rob, the scales are fixed.
The scales. We've fixed the scales, but we're still a little bit stressed. I'm really doing the maths here. Right, John, let's get the fish out. So, Steve Jackson, currently in 2nd spot, 20 kilos and 50 grams. I reckon that Andy Power needs 2 kilos. No, 1 kilo, 650 grams to draw. 1 kilo, 650. So he's looking for 1 kilo, 700 to go into 2nd spot. 1 kilo, 700 is the magic total. What have we got here? Oh, it's good.
3 kilos, 475 grams.
3 kilos, 475 grams. That puts Andy Power over 22 kilos. He's in 2nd spot as we speak. Andy Power very excited, but he's got one man that can yet beat him. It's Ross Harold. What's he weighing in?
I am literally shaking right now. I think, probably more nervous than Ross Harold here on Peg 14. Dave, let's bring it over. So he needs over 2.5 kilos here to secure 2nd place. Ross, if you want to come over, you need over 2.5 kilos to secure 2nd place here. To beat Andy Power, There is a big carp there, 2 little F1s. 2.55 he needs to get second. Oh, it's happened again.
1 kilo.
1 kilo, 925. Ross Harold misses out on that £10,000 prize money once again. Rob Dorset, back to you.
Well, what drama. Andy Power, I can tell you, congratulations, you are £10,000 richer. You are the runner-up of FishOMania 24. Boy, what a late run. Hang on, let me work that out. That's over 11.5 kilos you pulled in the last hour.
Mad. Why couldn't it be like that all day? Yeah, they just turned up for me. I don't know what it was. Wind changed direction. I just had the start of the ripple, I guess, and a few big fish turned up. So.
And you hauled them out. I mean, that penultimate weigh-in for you, it was almost 8.5 kilos. Did you realise how big that was and what that did for you?
Well, I could see there wasn't a lot being caught, so I knew, you know, if I kept going and they stopped catching, then I had a chance. But yeah.
You're normally so calm. Now I can see your lips are quivering. I've never seen you as animated as that. This is your 5th time at Fish Show. Is that the most nervous you've ever been?
Probably not the most nervous. I think the most nervous was the first time. I'm used to it now, but just going from, you know, having a bad day, catching nothing, and a few fish in front of me, it was all a bit of a mad rush. But
well, that's FishOMania. Many congratulations, £10,000 on the runner-up of FishOMania 24. But it's time to hear from the winner. Let's go over to Ben Ransom.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robbie. It was kind of academic, but not the way Jamie Hughes fished that last hour. He was not giving anything away. So let's see officially what his final weigh-in is. We can get the final match bag out of the arena lake now, and we'll see exactly what he's got. Remember, he's been leading for the last couple of hours. Some fantastic fish in that time. Jamie, come in, because I know you want to see this.
He's behind Ben now.
And it's going to be under a kilo, but it's
750 grams.
750 grams, but what it does mean, and we kind of knew it already, didn't we, that Jamie Hughes is the 2017 FishOMania champion. Jamie, absolutely fantastic fishing from you today. How do you feel?
I don't know. It's unbelievable. It's what I always wanted, is 3 times Fish Show. I feel like I'm done now.
This is a really historic moment. No one has ever won FishOMania 3 times before. How long will it take for that to sink in?
Oh, no idea. But to be fair, I don't think anyone's ever been as persistent as I have with trying to get back to this final. But yeah, it's incredible. It'll take a while, but I can't believe it.
When you pulled out peg number 7, you said, if I don't win this, then I've only got myself to blame. Well, you had what you wanted, the plum draw, and it worked out.
Yeah, I'd say I always feel that in these big finals, if you want a chance, I felt to have a chance there, you needed peg 5 to about peg 13. And I'm in the match, you know what I mean? Luckily I didn't mess it up.
How did your emotions change as the fish were coming out? Because there was that 1/2 hour where you didn't register a score at all.
Yeah, I do a lot of this type of fishing, so I knew, I actually said to my bank runner, I've just got to put up with it. There's no point trying to fish a small fish, because I'm not putting enough weight in the net. I just need to stick with the carp, and I'll get the odd little run of 2 and 3 fish and some slow spells, but it was enough.
And we saw you up with your family as well. What did you say?
I just wanted my little girl. It's the first night last night we've spent away from my daughter. So I just wanted to go and see her quickly.
Well, look, I mean, Jamie, the very best of luck. £50,000 richer. More importantly to you, I'm sure, is that historic 3rd FishOMania trophy. Does it mean that we've had 2 soakings? Will we get a 3rd?
I think we're going to get a bit moist in a minute.
Jamie, congratulations. Well done.
Thank you very much. I'm going in.
You're going in too. Wow, brilliant. He's fighting back the tears. He's an absolute ball of emotion. In football, if you get a hat-trick, you take the match ball. In fishing, you take a dive, and he gets closer to those fish who he's been catching all afternoon, and his bank runner goes in there head first as well. Wonderful fisherman, wonderful family man.
Yeah, and it's just a phenomenal achievement, as we said. You know, it's hard enough to get to be one of the 16 and now 25 qualifiers, and then to win it once is you do the math. You know, it's the law of averages. It's not going to happen more than once. It's happened 3 times. It's just an exceptional angling talent.
Your winner, collecting the trophy and a cheque for £50,000, with a total catch weight of 26.9 kilograms, winning for a record-breaking third time, your Panorama FishOMania champion is Jamie.
You can hold that. Cheers.
Well, there he is. Here's the champion of what has been 5.5 hours, we're almost there now, 5.5 hours of fishing. All started at 12 o'clock today. The juniors and the ladies started earlier today. Congratulations to Will McCranach, £1,000 for winning the junior championship. Kaylee Smith, the ladies champion, £1,000 as well. Andy Power came second. It was very tight at the end. £10,000 richer. He had the best catch of the day, at 8 kilos in half an hour. But Jamie Hughes was Mr. Consistency, £50,000 and the trophy. It's been wonderful as always here at FishOMania. In golf, they have Tiger Woods. He mentioned Usain Bolt. When it comes to athletics, you've got the likes of Phil the Power Taylor. These people have dominated their sports and earned the title legend. But when it comes to FishOMania, this guy truly is a legend. Remember the name of Jamie Hughes. They thought nobody could win it twice. Matt Hall did, then Jamie Hughes followed him, and it's been a long haul, but he is a legend in the fishing world. Congratulations to Jamie Hughes of the Wirral.